Hey everybody, that Hoodoo Lady here, and for Black History Month, I want to share one more thing with you. Well, I'm going to share a lot, but today's message is about the word weary. So, some of us maybe have never heard this in their families, but when I was talking to one of my play nieces yesterday, and we were talking about raising a child and how troubling parenting, how hard it is some of the time, some of the time it just never stops. Like you're taking care of a child for a moment and then you just want sleep. You just need sleep. You just, like, deep in your bones, it's more than something where you are, oh, I'm just tired from the day. It's days upon days and months upon months and weeks upon weeks of unrest. And that is weariness. And the reason there's a distinction to me is because when I was little, I would talk to my great great grandfather, and his name was Uncle Bud. Uncle Bud was my great great grandfather, but he wasn't into our lives as my great great grandfather until after my great great grandfather died. He died maybe 50, 60 years before my great great grandma allowed her herself to become married again, because in the Bible it says that you shouldn't marry if unless the other spouse is dead. So Uncle Bud always wanted to be married to my great great grandma. He asked her from the time she was single and raising little girls on her own, all the way until they were older and had their own grandchildren. He stayed. He was right there. He was like, one day you're going to be my wife. Anyway, right. There's a lot to say there too. Maybe one other post. But in the meantime, he would tell us about when he was younger and they had to do work in the fields. And he was around the same age as my great grandpa when I met him. So he was probably in his 80s, early 90s. And he would tell us about doing field work. And I don't mean like what biologists do in the field now. I mean being in rows and rows of some kind of plant and only having your fingers and your back to produce a harvest that someone on a horse with a gun or a whip would tell you is supposed to be completed in a certain amount of time. And even though it was past 1865, and even though we were told through the Emancipation Proclamation that we were free, he still had to work under horrible conditions where every morning he woke up in pain. Every night he went to bed in pain. Everything in between was pain and suffering and struggle. And he would tell us these stories, and a slight little tear would get into his eye. And I knew that was big for him, because back in those times, we always told males that they shouldn't show any emotion at all. So for him to show any emotion was a lot. Anyway, he would tell us that he was tired and he was weary. And when he finally did get to do another job and he made his way, and he would say, and God made a way for me to get out of there and not work in the fields anymore and start working on vehicles as a mechanic and have a self-respective job as a mechanic, he was forever grateful. So when I say that I'm weary, it means something totally different in my culture. When I say that I'm weary of certain things happening, of me getting followed in malls, of me having to code switch wherever I go where I need to make a certain amount of money, where I may get stopped by police and I realize this could be my last day on life just because I dared to get pulled over while black and not because of any other reason. When I tell you that it is weary to be in a body that people gawk and look at and try to shame. Ooh, you have such big thighs. Ooh, you have such big lips. Ooh, you have such kinky, coily hair. What's wrong with you? Why are you different from me? It's weariness. And many of us walking around today that you might meet during Black History Month and all the way through, they're weary. They're not tired. They're weary. Yeah. So, a little deeper note this time around. Maybe tomorrow I'll think of something else. Depends on what Spirit tells me. But today's word is weary. So I hope that today we continue to help uplift each other when we are weary. When you see someone and you know in their eyes that they're weary, if nothing else, think a good thought for them. Think a thought that you hope that they get uplifted today, that you hope that their day isn't as tiring, that you hope that relief comes. And if nothing else, just smile at them. That empathetic smile that says, I hear you, I see you, how can I help? You know, that's one thing that I remember growing up in my black culture is whenever I needed help, all I had to do was ask. That was it. And it didn't matter if we had money or no money or lots of. I remember one time we had this thing where everybody had fruits and we all wanted fruits. But my mom could afford a couple of fruits, which was rare. And I got pears. And I thought that was the most amazing thing I'd ever had because I'd never had, a lot of pears. My grandma and everyone always gave me apples and oranges and bananas and stuff like that. And I said, I want something rare. I want something different. I'm going to have a pear. And I remember biting into that pear because we usually only had canned pears and thinking, this is kind of soft and gross. Damn it. And from that point on, I liked apples. Every now and then I'll have a pear, but I remember that consistency and icky. So I hope and wish for you anything but weariness in your life. Thank you for celebrating Black History Month with me. Comment below. Let me know what information you have or what experiences you've had in your family. This has been fun. Talk to you later. Hoodoo for everyone. And if you have lineage that goes back all the way to Africa, like we all do, then please be sure and like and comment and share about our history, Black History Month.